Welcome to the deep dive. Have you ever found yourself, deep into an English movie, understanding almost everything, but then someone asks you something simple and you just freeze? The words are right there, you know them, but it feels like they're trapped behind this invisible glass wall. You see what you need, but you just can't reach it. Why does that happen?
That's the mystery we're diving into today.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably the most common frustration I hear from English learners everywhere, globally. Yeah. And the first thing to get straight is this isn't your fault. Yeah. Seriously. It's not about lacking talent or being, bad at languages.
Right.
Think of it more like a puzzle. You've got most of the pieces, but maybe one or two are missing or just not clicking into place yet, and the whole thing feels stuck.
Mm-hmm.
But once we figure out why it's happening and how to find those missing pieces, well, that's when you really unlock your voice. That puzzle analogy is great. Or I sometimes think of it like having this amazing toolbox. Your English knowledge, right? You've spent ages collecting tools. Words, grammar rules, useful phrases, they're all in there neatly organized maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But when you need to actually build something, a sentence, jump into a conversation, you look in the box and suddenly it's overwhelming. You can't grab the right tool fast enough.
Yeah, or you grab one, but you're not sure how it connects to the other piece.
Exactly, that gap. That's what we're focusing on today. Our mission really is to build a solid bridge over that gap. By the end of this deep dive, we want you to feel clearer about why this happens, more confident, and honestly curious about moving forward. Fluency isn't magic, right? It's a process.
It absolutely is. And the brilliant news is, if you're understanding a lot of English already, you're honestly halfway there. Your brain has the language stored.
Okay, good. So where do we start?
Well, let's peel back that first layer. It starts with understanding a really fundamental difference in how we interact with language.
Okay, let's do it. We can start with something that sounds simple, but it's actually incredibly powerful. The difference between input and output.
Exactly.
Input is all the English you take in. So listening to us now, watching that movie, reading an article, it's language coming at you.
Mm-hmm. Receiving.
Right. And output, that's the language you produce. Speaking, writing an email, asking a question. You're actively using English to get your own ideas out there.
And this leads us straight into what I often call the language trap. It's where most learners, without even realizing it, spend maybe 90% of their time on input, just consuming.
90%, wow.
Yeah, maybe even more sometimes. Watching, listening, reading, which is all good, but almost no time on output, on actually producing language. Think about it like watching hours and hours of cooking shows. You might know all the techniques, memorize recipes.
Yeah, you feel like a gourmet chef in your head.
Exactly. But if you never actually pick up a pan, chop an onion, turn on the stove, you're not cooking. Understanding the recipe is not the same as making the meal.
Okay, that makes total sense. Your brain is soaking it all up like a sponge.
But it needs that output, that practice of actually using the words to build the fast, automatic connections you need for speaking.
So if we're stuck in that trap, watching endless cooking shows but never cooking, how do we start? How do we climb out?
It's about shifting to what we could call active input. Making that input stage more, active. So instead of just passively watching a short English video, try pausing it halfway through. And then, just for yourself, try summarizing what you just saw or heard out loud.
Just talking to yourself.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. The goal is just to activate that speaking part of the brain. Or try shadowing.
We hear that word a lot. What exactly is it?
It's simply repeating what you hear almost immediately after you hear it. Even short, simple phrases. You listen, you speak, listen, speak. It trains the rhythm and connection. It sends a really powerful message to your brain like, hey, we don't just listen in English, we actually speak it too.
I like that. It's like flipping a switch.
Exactly. And the absolute key here. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for that perfect moment to start speaking.
Because it never really comes, does it?
Never. You build fluency by using what you have now. Imperfectly, maybe a bit awkwardly at first, but bravely. And doing it consistently.
Bravely is a good word there, because I think that ties right into the next big hurdle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Moving words from just understanding them to actually using them.
That's the million-dollar question, right? Let's think about a really common scenario. You're reading an article, maybe online. You see the word opportunity.
Yep. Understand it instantly. No problem.
Right. Easy. But then later, you're in a conversation trying to explain something, maybe like, I'm learning English for better. Oh, and the word opportunity just vanishes. Poof.
Oh, that feeling. It's like it's on the tip of your tongue, but it won't come out. Why does that happen?
This is where we need to understand the difference between your passive vocabulary and your active vocabulary.
Okay. Break that down.
Your passive vocabulary is all the words you recognize and understand when you hear or read them. They're familiar. Your brain goes, yep, know that one.
So potentially thousands of words.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
usually much, much larger. But your active vocabulary, those are the words you can recall quickly, easily, and use naturally when you're speaking or writing without really thinking hard about it.
And that's usually smaller.
Often much smaller. You might passively know, say, 5,000 words, but only actively use maybe 500 or 1,000 in daily conversation. It's like having a huge closet stuffed with clothes.
Ah, the closet analogy. I like this one.
But you end up wearing the same 5 comfortable outfits over and over again because it's easier. Understanding a word takes way less mental energy than producing it.
Right. Speaking involves finding it, saying it right, putting it in a sentence.
All while trying to keep the conversation going. It's high pressure. Your brain defaults to the familiar, the easy-to-reach words, the active ones.
So the challenge is moving those clothes from the back of the closet, the passive words, to the front, where we can easily grab them and wear them. How do we do that?
Okay, bridging that gap. It starts with a really simple principle. Use it or lose it. Seriously. You have to say the words aloud. So if you learn a new word, like challenge,
Yeah.
don't just write it down. Say it in a sentence. Maybe learning English is a challenge, but I enjoy it.
Okay.
Then say it again differently. One challenge I have is speaking fluently. You're training your brain's retrieval path.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, personalize it. Connect new words to your life. Don't just learn the definition of opportunity. Think about your opportunities. Say, I had an opportunity to travel last year. Make it real for you.
That makes it stickier, I imagine.
Definitely. Third, keep using shadowing, but maybe focus on sentences. Hear a sentence, repeat it, then try changing it slightly to fit your reality. So if you hear, she finally achieved her goal, you could say, I finally achieved my goal of finishing that difficult project.
Ah, adapting it. Nice.
And fourth, if you use flashcard apps like Anki or Quizlet for spaced repetition, take it one step further. Don't just recognize the word. Say the word aloud. And then, crucially, use it in a sentence, out loud.
So turning that passive review into active practice.
Exactly. That extra step makes the word truly yours, moves it from the back of the closet to the front.
Making the word truly yours. I like that. So it's not just about piling up more and more passive words, is it? The goal isn't necessarily knowing 10,000 words passively.
Not at all. That's a key insight. Fluency isn't about having the biggest passive vocabulary. It's about being able to confidently, flexibly use a smaller, core, active vocabulary. Maybe 1,000, 2,000 really common words and phrases.
Using them well is better than just knowing lots of them vaguely.
Precisely. It's depth over just breadth. Mastering those core words lets you express almost anything you need to.
Okay, that's really empowering. But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Even if you know the words, even if you've practiced, there's still that moment, that frustrating moment when you try to speak and your mind just goes blank.
Mm-hmm.
You feel this pressure, maybe in your chest, and you hesitate. Or you manage something really simple, but not what you wanted to say. Or maybe nothing comes out at all. What's going on then?
Ah, yes. The blank mind. The freeze. often underneath all the vocabulary and grammar issues, there's a powerful, invisible enemy at play. Fear.
Fear. All right.
So natural. Learning to speak a new language makes you vulnerable. But if we don't acknowledge and manage this fear, it can completely sabotage our efforts. We're talking about the fear of making mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Fear of being judged by others, fear of not sounding intelligent.
Or just mispronouncing something badly.
Exactly. Or not finding the words fast enough, feeling slow or stupid. All these fears create very real mental blocks. You might actually know the word or phrase perfectly well, but in that high-stakes moment, your brain, trying to protect you from embarrassment, basically puts up a big do not speak sign.
Wow. So you freeze not because you lack the knowledge, but because you don't feel safe using it?
That's often a huge part of it. The perceived risk feels too high.
And this ties into something else you mentioned. Perfectionism. That drive to get it exactly right.
Oh, massively. So many learners believe deep down that they must speak perfectly. Every sentence, flawless pronunciation, spot on. And that's, well,
It's
yeah,
paralyzing.
because perfect doesn't exist, even for native speakers.
Exactly.
Which leads to this crucial idea: perfection is the enemy of fluency. Chasing perfection makes you overthink everything. You hold back. You wait for the perfect sentence that never comes. Think about wanting to say a complex sentence like, if I had known about the meeting earlier, I definitely would have prepared more.
Okay, yeah, that's complicated grammar.
Right. Your brain might panic trying to get that perfect structure under pressure.
Yeah.
So what happens? You say nothing, you freeze. But what if you just said something simpler like, oh, I didn't know about the meeting, so I didn't prepare. Is it perfect? No. Is it clear communication? Absolutely.
And that's the goal, right? Communication.
Communication beats perfection. Every single time. Get your message across. That's the win.
It's actually really liberating to hear that.
Yeah.
Because you're right, native speakers, we stumble, we use, we correct ourselves constantly.
All the time. We use fillers, we rephrase, we sometimes use the wrong word, but we keep going. That's natural, flexible speech. It's not about being flawless. And here's the thing. Avoiding speaking because you're afraid actually reinforces the fear. It teaches your brain, see, speaking is dangerous. Better stay quiet.
Whereas speaking, even if it's messy,
Teaches your brain the opposite. Okay, I made a mistake, but I survived. It wasn't so bad. I communicated. It slowly builds safety and resilience.
so how do we actively break that cycle? What are some concrete steps people can take to tackle the fear and perfectionism?
Okay, first step. Change your goal. Seriously. Stop aiming for perfect English. Aim to connect. Aim to express yourself. If the other person understands your core message, you succeeded.
Connection over perfection. I like that.
Second, speak before you're ready. This is counterintuitive, but crucial. Confidence doesn't magically appear before you speak. It grows as a result of speaking. Even just 1 minute a day builds bravery.
Start small.
Exactly. Third, reframe mistakes. Start seeing them not as failures, but as evidence of learning. Like muscle soreness after a workout, it means you're pushing yourself, you're growing. Celebrate them.
Okay, easier said than done sometimes, but I get the principle.
It takes practice. And finally, try visualization. Spend a minute each day vividly imagining yourself speaking English confidently. See yourself handling conversations smoothly. It sounds a bit strange, maybe, but it genuinely lowers anxiety.
Mental rehearsal.
Yes. Give yourself permission to be imperfect, to be honest, to be bold. Just use the English you have frequently. Your voice deserves to be heard.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense. Let's shift gears slightly and talk about why those words feel so hard to retrieve sometimes, even without the fear factor. You used the metaphor of a library earlier.
Right. The brain is a giant library, full of books, all your English knowledge, words, grammar, phrases you've learned. You know the information is in there on the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone asks you a question in real time and you need to formulate an answer now, it's like you run to the right section of the library, you find the shelf, but the door to get the book out is jammed. Stuck.
Ah, the jammed door, yes. The knowledge is stored, but you can't access it quickly enough for a flowing conversation.
Precisely. And this comes down to how differently the brain processes language for understanding versus speaking. When you're listening or reading, that's input. Your brain is relatively relaxed. It's recognizing patterns. There's usually less time pressure. You can often pause, reread, re-listen.
Right, Los cakes.
But speaking, suddenly your brain is juggling multiple tasks at once. It has to. Search for the right words, construct a sentence, apply grammar rules, manage pronunciation, and listen to the other person and manage any stress. It's intense cognitive load.
Wow, when you list it like that. No wonder it feels hard.
If your brain hasn't specifically practiced that juggling act, that rapid retrieval and production under pressure, it just defaults to jammed door. This is the core difference between receptive skills, understanding, and productive skills, speaking.
Receptive is like recognizing someone's face.
Easy, often automatic. Productive is like having to describe that face in detail entirely from memory. Much harder, requires active recall. And often we learn words in isolation, like just memorizing a list, without the rich context of how they're used in actual conversation. That lack of connection also helps jam the door.
Okay, so the door is jammed because we haven't practiced the specific skill of opening it quickly while juggling. How do we unjam it? What helps grease those hinges?
Great question. We need exercises that specifically target speed and retrieval. First, practice speaking under time pressure. Set a timer, just 60 seconds. Describe your day, talk about your breakfast, answer a random what-if question. The goal isn't perfection, it's just forcing your brain to find something quickly. Activation.
Like linguistic sprints.
Exactly. Second, use retrieval-based learning actively. Don't just look at your flashcards or word lists. Cover the answer. Try to recall the word or phrase from memory first, then check, and immediately use it in, say, 3 spoken sentences.
Forcing the recall.
Yes, it strengthens that neural pathway like nothing else. Third, build connections, not just isolated storage. When you learn something new, don't just file it away. Ask, when would I actually use this? How does this relate to my life? Can I use this today? Connect it to existing knowledge.
Make it meaningful, not just abstract data.
Precisely. More connections mean faster access. And finally, back to the simple stuff. Speak aloud even when you're alone. Narrate what you're doing. Think out loud in English. It builds those automatic pathways, unjamming the door through sheer repetition.
It feels like all roads lead back to actually making sounds, doesn't it? Which connects perfectly to another powerful idea. Speaking is a muscle.
It really is. Think about someone who watches fitness videos constantly. They understand perfect squat form. They know all about nutrition.
They could probably teach a class on the theory of exercise.
Right. But if they never actually do the squats, never lift a weight, what happens when they finally try?
They're going to struggle. They'll be shaky, weak. The knowledge is there, but the body isn't trained.
Exactly the same with speaking. You can know all the grammar rules, have a huge passive vocabulary, but if you don't regularly exercise the act of speaking, the muscle remains weak and uncoordinated.
So understanding isn't enough. We need to train the physical and mental coordination of producing speech.
Yes. Speaking fluency requires a different kind of training than just knowledge acquisition. It involves your breath, your mouth muscles, your vocal cords, your brain's processing speed, your emotional regulation. It's a whole body skill that demands practice. If you don't practice the act of speaking, your brain simply doesn't develop those fast, fluid connections needed to make it feel natural and easy.
And people avoid practicing for lots of reasons, right? I don't have time, I have nobody to talk to, I'm afraid of mistakes.
All common, understandable reasons. But the amazing thing about the speaking muscle is that you can train it anywhere, anytime. You don't need a gym membership or a conversation partner to get started. You just need your own voice.
Okay, so for listeners who want to start building this muscle, maybe they're mostly practicing alone, what are some simple, effective exercises?
Great. Let's get practical. First, talk to yourself out loud. Seriously, narrate your day. Okay, now I'm making coffee. I need to find the filters. Describe what you see out the window. State your opinion on something you just read.
It feels weird at first, maybe.
It can, but it's incredibly effective. It gets your brain used to forming English sentences spontaneously. Second, use your phone's voice recorder. Record yourself talking about a topic for a minute or two, then listen back.
Ooh, that sounds scary but useful.
It's powerful feedback. You'll notice things you don't realize while speaking, maybe repeated words, hesitation sounds, pronunciation quirks. Third, shadowing again. It's fantastic for muscle memory, mimicking the rhythm, intonation, the physical flow of speech.
Mimicking the music of English.
Exactly. Fourth, look for online speaking challenges or prompts. Having a specific topic or daily goal can provide structure and motivation. And fifth, practice thinking in English out loud. Start super simple. I'm tired. Need to buy milk. Gradually make the thoughts more complex.
So verbalizing those internal thoughts.
Yes, it bridges the gap between thinking and speaking.
It really comes down to treating speaking like learning an instrument, doesn't it? A skill you build through practice, not a test you pass or fail.
Absolutely. And the good news is it's probably one of the most accessible muscles to train. All you need is your voice, a little time, and the willingness to be imperfect while you learn.
Okay. Now, there's another big mental habit that often acts like a huge brake on fluency.
Ah, yes, the constant mental translation.
Right. Thinking everything in your native language first, and then trying to translate it word for word into English in your head before you speak. It's exhausting and so slow.
It's incredibly inefficient. Your brain is doing double, sometimes triple the work. Think in language A, deconstruct. Find language B equivalents. Reconstruct in language B grammar. Check semi-speak. Phew.
By the time you get there, the conversation has moved on.
Exactly. And it often leads to unnatural phrasing. Think about how kids learn their first language. They don't translate. They connect words directly to objects, actions, feelings. Milk means that white drink, not the word for it in another language.
So the goal is to build that direct connection for English too. Create a space in your mind where English delips.
Precisely. Not as a shadow of your native language, but on its own terms.
And we see the problems with translation all the time, don't we? Like with word order. Someone might say, to me is cold, translating directly.
When English just needs I'm cold, or idioms, translating it's raining knives from your language sounds very strange in English.
When we say it's raining cats and dogs, which also sounds strange if you think about it, but it's the convention.
Right. Direct translation often fails because languages structure ideas differently and have unique cultural expressions.
So how do we train our brains to stop doing that? How do we start thinking more directly in English?
It takes conscious effort, but it's doable. First, try using images, not words, for associations. When you learn chair, picture a chair, think about sitting. Don't just link it to your native word for chair. Create a direct visual or sensory link.
Bypass the translation step.
Exactly. Second, practice micro-thinking in English. Start narrating tiny moments of your day in English in your head. Okay, walk to the door, open the fridge. Then try saying these simple thoughts aloud. Gradually increase complexity.
Little thoughts, building up.
Third, focus on learning sentence patterns or chunks, not just single words. Learn phrases like I'm looking forward to, or could you tell me how to? This helps you absorb English sentence structure naturally, rather than trying to build it from scratch using your native grammar rules.
Learn the Lego bricks, not just the individual dots.
Perfect analogy. Fourth, when you're doing dedicated speaking practice, try to limit your reliance on bilingual dictionaries or translators. Force your brain to find another way to say it in English, to guess, to paraphrase. That builds resourcefulness.
Get comfortable with not knowing the perfect word immediately.
Yes. Fluent speakers do that all the time. And finally, immerse your mind. Create a mini English world. Listen to podcasts, watch YouTube, change your phone language. The more English surrounds you, the more natural it feels to think in it.
It's definitely a habit that's hard to break, that translation habit. It's so automatic after years.
It is, but here's the encouraging part. Every single time you manage to think even a simple thought directly in English, you are literally carving out new neural pathways. You're training your brain. Every attempt counts.
Every direct thought weakens the translation habit and strengthens the English thinking habit.
Exactly. And this leads us nicely into some really powerful specific techniques that act like accelerators, bridging that gap and building that automaticity we crave. Things like shadowing and chunking.
We've touched on these, but let's focus on how they really build fluency. Shadowing repeating right after a native speaker helps you internalize the rhythm, the intonation, the flow.
It trains your mouth and ear to work together automatically.
And chunking learning phrases or groups of words that naturally go together, like at the end of the day or how's it going, gives you ready-made blocks to build with.
Right. So instead of constructing sentences word by word, you have these chunks ready to go. It drastically speeds things up and makes you sound more natural.
And you mentioned combining them. How does that work?
Well, you could shadow a conversation, for instance, but pay specific attention to repeating the common chunks you hear. Oh, really? That sounds great. You know what I mean? You're not just mimicking sounds, you're absorbing usable language units.
So active shadowing, focusing on those chunks. Are there other techniques in this vein people should know about?
Definitely. Speak aloud reading is great. Reading a text out loud helps with pronunciation and linking words smoothly. Question and answer practice is invaluable. Take a topic, ask yourself questions about it, like an interviewer, and then answer them aloud. Simulates real conversation.
Practicing both sides.
Yes. Record and compare is also useful. Record yourself saying a sentence or paragraph, then listen to a native speaker say the same thing, and pinpoint the differences in sound or rhythm. And don't forget about learning to use natural fillers, words like, well, actually, so like, used appropriately. They don't make you sound hesitant. They make you sound natural and buy you crucial thinking time.
Right, they're part of the natural flow, not just mistakes.
These methods all push you from passive knowing to active doing. They build that muscle memory, improve your timing, and importantly, they reduce the fear because you're practicing in a structured way.
And all this practice, all these techniques, they ultimately feed into something bigger, don't they?
Yeah.
Rewiring your confidence.
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Because confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not a fixed personality trait when it comes to language.
It's a skill you build, like learning to ride a bike. You start wobbly, maybe fall off a few times.
Exactly. But every time you get back on, every time you speak English, even if it's just one sentence, even if it feels clumsy, you send a message to your brain. See, I did it. It was okay. Gradually, consistently, this rewires your nervous system. The anxiety lessens. Speaking starts to feel safer, more comfortable.
So how do we make sure we build those lasting habits? It's easy to get motivated after listening to this, but keeping it going.
Consistency is everything. First, start ridiculously small. Aim for just 2 to 5 minutes of speaking practice a day. Seriously, so small you can't say no. Build momentum.
Like a tiny snowball rolling downhill.
Precisely. Second, create triggers. Link your tiny practice habit to something you already do every day. Shadow a podcast for 3 minutes while your coffee brews. Talk to yourself in English while brushing your teeth. Attach it to an existing routine.
Habit stacking.
Yep. Third, track your progress. Keep a simple journal or note on your phone. Practice speaking for 5 minutes today. Seeing the chain grow is incredibly motivating. And fourth, celebrate the small wins. Acknowledge every single time you push past hesitation and speak. Pat yourself on the back.
That internal cheerleader is important.
Yeah.
Which brings up the inner voice. That internal dialogue we all have.
Crucial. You have to become aware of that negative self-talk, the I sound stupid, my English is terrible, and actively replace it with positive self-talk. Even if it feels fake at first, I am improving every day. Mistakes are how I learn. My voice matters.
Affirmations, basically.
Yes, and combine that with visualization and mental rehearsal. Regularly imagine yourself having successful, confident English conversations. Feel the positive emotions. It primes your brain for success. And finally, try to build a supportive environment. Find online language exchange partners, join a speaking club, maybe get a tutor, and make it fun. Talk about things you genuinely love, your hobbies, your passion.
So bringing all these threads together, if you had to give one core message to someone feeling stuck in that understanding but not speaking place, what would it be?
It would be this. Understanding English is a massive achievement. You should be proud of that foundation. But fluency, true fluency where you can express yourself freely, that requires action. It requires courage, and it absolutely requires consistent practice. Remember the library metaphor. The knowledge is in there. You just need to train your brain consistently and patiently to open that door quickly and easily when you need to speak.
Okay, so let's recap the big takeaways for everyone listening. First, consciously work to balance your input and output. Don't just consume. Actively produce language every day. Second, make an effort to turn passive vocabulary into active vocabulary. Use those new words out loud. Personalize them.
Use it or lose it.
Third, face your fears. Acknowledge them. And release the need for perfection. Remember, communication beats perfection.
Every time.
Fourth, train your speaking muscle like any other skill with regular, consistent practice, even if it's just a few minutes.
Treat it like exercise.
Fifth, work consciously to stop translating in your head. Practice thinking directly in English, starting small.
Build that direct connection.
Sixth, use powerful techniques like shadowing and chunking to build automaticity and natural flow.
They really work.
And finally, seventh, actively build your confidence through small wins, positive self-talk, and creating daily speaking habits.
It's a virtuous cycle.
Your journey really does start today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Today, embrace the imperfections. Celebrate every tiny step forward.
And maybe think about this. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You're joining English conversations more easily. You're expressing your ideas without that constant hesitation. You feel clearer, more confident. That future is totally achievable. But it starts with the small actions you take today.
So here's a simple roadmap to get you started right now. 1. Spend just 5 minutes a day speaking out loud. Describe your room, your plans, anything. 2. Find a short video or audio clip and practice shadowing for 2-3 minutes. 3. Learn one new useful chunk or phrase and say it out loud in a few different sentences. 4. Catch yourself thinking negatively about your speaking and replace it with one positive affirmation. 5. Try narrating your next simple action, like making tea, directly in English in your head, or aloud if you can. 6. Maybe once this week, record your voice for 60 seconds and just listen back with curiosity, not judgment.
Small steps, big impact over time.
Exactly. Your voice is there. It's waiting to be heard more fully. The door to the library is there. Let's start unjamming it together, one confident word at a time.